Live and recording.
Right. Thank you, everybody in attendance for this Thursday, March 2nd, 2023 Mooresville Redevelopment Commission meeting. We'll do an official call to order, and everybody in attendance, if you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads and join me in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here today. We thank you for the beautiful weather that we've had this week. We ask you, Lord, that you would be with us as we discuss town's business, as we discuss taxpayers' business. Give us wisdom and help us to make decisions that will benefit them and also bring glory to you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Cole. Item number 3 on tonight's agenda, the minutes from the February 2nd, 2023 executive session and public meeting. I will go ahead and ask for a motion to pass.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Any discussion, any topics that need covered before we ask for a second? Seeing none, I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed the same. Motion passes. Item number 4 on tonight's meeting, the financial report.
You were emailed earlier today, the financial report. It's pretty short, quick, and to the point. I'm not sure who has it in front of them. Brian?
Yes, that was a motion to accept both the
Both
executive
minutes?
and
Okay.
yes, both sets of
Sorry.
minutes. Sorry.
Nope, you're fine.
Yep. Just clarifying.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Does somebody have a docket in front of them?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
right
down
here.
Would you want to read the fund report?
Are you talking about the front page or
Nope.
the entire thing?
Third page, or I can grab it and read it if you'd like.
You want the current balances of the TIF accounts?
Yes, please.
Okay, the TIF rental account, the current balance is $678,594.90. The TIF debt service reserve account, $470,474.38. The redevelopment capital account is $7,878,903.79. And so the grand total would be $9,027,973.07.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to pass.
I'll make a motion we accept the financial report.
I have one motion. Do I have a second to pass the financial report?
I'll second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion passes. Item number 5 on tonight's agenda, old business, starting with the Mooresville Business Center update.
You have before you a couple of bush hogging proposals for mowing services for the entirety of the 100 acres. I requested quotes from 3 different firms. I received 2 back. They are in your packet. I apologize. So one, kind of in the back of your packet if you're going through here and looking. One is from Mike Harden Properties. It is $7,165 each time, for a total of 2 times this summer. The other quote we received is from Parks Outdoor Maintenance, and that is for $7,500 per occurrence. I also did ask, Mr. Harden called, and I asked that he separately price out, sometimes if we have a showing at the Shell building and it's looking a little rough, we might want to address that one in particular. So he also provided a quote for $450 each time with 3 days notice just to do around the Shell building. So what I'm really asking for you to approve is, or to consider the 2 quotes. Again, Parks Outdoor Maintenance for $7,500 per occurrence 2 times this summer. And then Mike Harden Properties, MH Properties for $7,165 each time.
So Parks didn't provide an estimate for...
They did not.
Okay.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion from any of the commission members of whether to accept one of the bids presented?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bids from MH Properties for both the 2 times mowing as well as the 450 for special occasions.
Got a first, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. So you may remember, or you may not, because it's been a really long time ago, we had, traffic engineering, designed the future signal at Merriman and State Road 67. So they gave us, a covenant, NDOT is when I say they, NDOT gave us a covenant that essentially when we got to the point of having adequate traffic counts, they would grant us a light, and by granting us a light, they just mean we can put a light there at our cost, because that's how things work. I'm looking at Erin because she knows that. So they have reviewed and finally gotten comments back to us, they being NDOT, the proposal. Our engineers have made updates to the plans and have resubmitted them to NDOT. So in the actually in next month's docket, there will be that bill. The question that I have for the commission tonight for consideration is whether or not in the bid documents, do you want the poles that will be on the corners of Merriman and 67 to be powder coated black, or they will just be the typical steel poles? His estimate was that it would be a $15,000 increase for the black powder coating in total project cost. So,
You're wanting that question answered now?
Yes.
Is there any plans to continue that sort of decorative pole
so
on down Merriman? I mean, there's no other poles in that area that's like that, correct?
no, there's not any poles. And actually, I think we had a conversation when we, again, NDOT had this for like 15 months for review. It's been a long time ago. I think we had talked about that. It was very costly, and actually I talked with Chet Squark and the engineer earlier today also. Because of the size of the mast arms, it would be very costly if we went with the true decorative poles and the mast arms. And at the time, the commission decided not to go that route. So this is just, do you want them to be powder coated black or not?
I don't think it's necessary.
I almost think it'd look out of place.
If we had poles going up the road and they all needed to match, but
Right. Okay. That's all I need.
if we do have poles going up, it's better to have them match the cheaper version.
NDOT, I think, prefers that as well, so not a problem. That's all I have on that. I will add there were 8 active projects that had questions about the Shell building this month. We're still moving forward with the purchase agreements, the due diligence. I actually had a question today from Old Dominion on the 56 acres. They just needed the documents in CAD. I know we're moving forward with the plating process. I know that Banning met with Ryan today to get signatures for that, so things are all moving in the right direction. So, happy to answer any questions about the Mooresville Business Center that anyone may have.
Any questions?
I do have one thing to say. In Flags, I know this is this business center, but in Flagstaff, there's erosion going on at one of the ponds, and it's pretty severe. So I don't know if you need to contact Dave more about it. It's there across from Equipment Technologies.
So Flagstaff
bridge.
it's private. It's private.
Totally private through there?
I'll have a conversation with Dave. I'll make a note to have a conversation with Dave. I also know that Mike Dellinger has done work, in addition to the county surveyor, about making that a legal drain. I'll make a note to have.
Where the little bridge is there,
Yeah,
kind
I
of
know
near
what you're
Equipment.
talking.
Yeah. The creek is eroding into that retention pond really, but it may be a town issue, or maybe if it's private, but
Any other questions, comments?
I realized that wasn't the Mooresville
That's
Business
okay.
Park, but
Worth asking.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Absolutely. Never know until it's brought up. Next item, under section 5, the fire station update.
I asked Chief Dalton to come tonight. You may all remember that as a part of the plan that we approved previously, the plan amendment, that part of that was to approve a, basically a project in partnership with the fire department, as Chief Dalton would like to have some training facility. So that is specifically the location that we added to the plan was Casey's, right next to the existing fire station. Again, to note, we are not talking about taking out the fire station. We are talking about the excess land behind the fire station. So I want to make that very clear. I've had some preliminary conversations with Banning, because I was really trying to get to the bottom of what do we need to figure out to make this work, if it's possible to make this work. I've also had conversations with Tim Bennett as well as Chief Dalton. The thing that is important to note that I have found out is that it is detention behind Casey's. So retention ponds we're often familiar with, that visibly holds water. Detention is not quite as visible, but it is built to hold water. So one thing that we would have to address is Casey's detention or retention, because it has to go somewhere. We can't just not address that if we were to plat and take any of that land from, not take it from them, but purchase it from them. In addition to that, by my very rough estimate on GIS, we're really only looking at like 0.62 acres. So we're not looking at a lot of land. That includes the already present drive, secondary drive to the fire station. So I talked with Mr. Bennett, Planning and Zoning, to plat a parcel. It has to be in excess of 10,000 square feet, which, again, not an engineer, but trying to save us money from spending money if we don't need to. It appears as though there's enough. What I did was 13,000 square feet. So it appears as though we could theoretically make it work if we can figure out what to do with Casey's water. It is also zone B3, which it's my understanding that the fire station goes along with B3, so we wouldn't need a rezone. So I've done a lot of talking. Would you like to talk about what you'd like to put there?
Sure. Chief Dalton, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me. So I know there was a lot of questions, as she said. Understand that the fire department doesn't have a training facility at all. Usually we get houses donated, like the town park basically had 2 houses there on County Line Road. They have been kind enough for us to go and train, throw ladders, do some searches, this and that. I'm going to pass around a couple of pictures so you guys kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. These are training facilities. One of them that Mr. Culp has, and now Pickett, that is actually a Monroe Township Fire District in Monroe County. They built that. It's, if you look at it, it's about 20 feet wide and about 3 stories tall. I'm not planning on trying to go that high. The one that you guys are now looking at, passing through, the red cans, those are actually Martinsville's. There is funding out there, but like I told Chelsea, I didn't want to start looking at trying to get funding and then get funding secured and then have a place to put it.
Right.
Not planning on doing any live fire burning. We're too close to a gas station, state road, highway, and the apartment complex is back there. More or less, this is just for my guys to get out there and basically throw ladders, pull lines, do some searches, maybe use our smoke machine and smoke it up to make the visibility not as great. And if you guys don't want to do anything like that, our second kind of option is that our training facility inside, which is a training room, it only houses about 16 people. Over the last year and a half, as Mr. Williams knows, as being on the council, we've had a lot of trainings we've hosted. We've actually had to go to other places and host because we've maxed our room out. We're actually also thinking, if this is not feasible, maybe just having some type of permanent structure to where we can house, 40 to 60 people there next behind there, just for a training room prop to where we have trial classes and stuff like that. I am open for any suggestions or ideas or comments or questions.
Any questions?
Based on this photo, this looks like it's made of like shipping containers.
It is. It's Connex cans.
Okay.
The white one is actually it is actually built. They secured that from the state funding, and that's actually metal, steel beams, and the steel frame, tin frame stuff, or the sheet metal. Sorry, lost train of thought there. The sheet metal stuff on the outside, so that way that it's not being damaged from the outside. The red one is Connex cans. Chief Metzger, prior to me, did have some Connex cans donated by the DNR. Unfortunately, that was on the town's property, but it was in a flood zone with IDEM. They said, hey, you need to get that removed. So between myself and Mr. Moore, we had it removed and all that stuff just because of the IDEM standards.
So remind me, are we looking? What are we looking at funding here? What are we funding? Buying the materials? Or are we funding buying the land? Or are we funding what?
So so this is all very preliminary still. It is in the plan, of course, which nothing we can do can happen until it's in the plan. So what we wrote in the plan was that we could acquire the property up to $250,000. Now, that being said, Attorney Storwald's sick, but he and I had discussed that it would make sense that as a part of that process that we, the due diligence is part of purchasing the property. So anything we'd have to figure out as far as Casey's water is concerned, and, survey plat, as well as 2 appraisals. From the conversations that Chief Dalton and I had, he felt that he could get a grant for the actual structures.
There is grants out there through the state, through FEMA and stuff like that. Now again, if we can just get the property, then I'll start focusing on trying to get the grants and stuff, and go that route. If the property sits for 5 years, then so be it. That's what it is. And I didn't want to start wasting my time, your guys' time, if we can't even do it. We got to find property to do that. The other thing that I found with like Bargersville and Martinsville, they're actually allowing outside agencies to come in. So there is some recoup that we could get for some of that. They charge other departments to come in and do some trainings and stuff like that, as long as they have their staff, their member there also to make sure that nothing's being torn up or anything like that. So there's other ideas in there, but that's kind of way into the future. So it's just preliminary stuff. I got to try to find a place before I can start trying to actually focus on trying to secure funding.
Right. Okay. Is the plan for a $250,000 total project? The total project, including everything, or?
Define what you're saying is everything. What we put in the plan was property acquisition not to exceed $250,000. That would be inclusive of any due diligence costs.
So you're talking purchasing property only,
Correct.
Yes.
whatever that amount is?
Correct.
Okay.
And that was a very, 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 very ballpark. I mean, we've not had any appraisals. It may come back at $30,000. It may come back at $190,000.
Right.
I have no idea what the appraisals are going to come back at.
Right.
But we assumed obviously we have to get 2 appraisals to purchase property. We would assume that we would be doing the due diligence, again, plat survey, any drainage, it's all going to have to be taken care of for both this property, potential property, as well as Casey's. So yes, that was to be inclusive.
Is it Casey's that owns it?
And if I may add to that, I reached out to Casey's
My next question.
last
We're
year.
willing.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, the last email that we did receive was that they would be entertaining and at least talk. They've not said yes and they have not said no. So it's kind of one of those things we have to make sure, like she's saying, is that we have to make sure that we can even do it first. And make sure that the drainage is going to be appropriate and all that stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
we just didn't want to start negotiating talks of, hey, we're going to sell it, but then, oh, no, we can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to start our due diligence and making sure that it can even be done.
So what I would be asking for tonight is if the commission has an interest in moving forward with this, it would be, for me, directions for me to work with an engineering firm I would like to take this slow, I'll admit, because again, it's just not that big. We're talking about 0.62 acres, so real easy, this could get out of whack. So I would rather not see the commission approve a contract for an Alta and plating and all of these things that could start running us, and two appraisals and all of this to find out, next month's meeting that we can't make it work just because there's not physically enough room there. So, but if it's something you'd like to move forward with, I would like to be able to get, a proposal. I had a conversation with Banning and he answered some questions, Mark Butler at Banning. But to get a proposal, on how to even really approach this, because again, it's deceiving when it's detention because you don't even necessarily realize it's there. But we have to put the water somewhere.
Chief, I heard two possibilities. One is a standalone facility, correct, on new land purchased, correct?
Correct.
Like what you passed out. And then you talked about the possibility, like a plan B or whatever, as a possibility of adding on to the current facility.
Not adding on to the current building, but using that property. If you guys decided you didn't want to see something like that behind Casey's.
Oh, okay.
And being a little bit smaller, just like a one-room building, basically.
For a training facility.
Just a training facility, or a classroom facility, I should say, not a training facility, a
So
classroom.
really, we're only considering whether we want to move forward with the purchase of property.
And
Okay.
I mean, if you guys have other ideas or other properties that might be better suited for this, I am all open and willing to make comments and contacts and trying to move forward with something else. I mean, this was just a thought in my mind, even when I was on shifts, that, it was right there and all they do is mow it. That's all they do.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, convenience is certainly one thought. I mean, it's right next to it.
right.
If, depending on where else you go, then you've got to drive to it. There's a lot of, so, I mean.
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking out loud, just came to me. If you would have more interest, which I realize this gets into a different funding bucket, so that's gonna be more of a headache for you, but would it be a possibility to add on if you had parking that was at Casey's?
Well,
I'm spitballing, but just thinking
No.
out loud of reallocating space. If
So
we couldn't do anything here, but it would make more sense to add on to your existing facility. I don't know if that's an option. I haven't been in the firehouse, so I couldn't even tell you if that's an option or not.
I guess what the question would be for everybody would be, when you say adding on, what are you talking about as adding on? Of adding on more of a building? So we do have an underground retaining tension in the back parking lot. That is, I do remember that for sure. I think that's what you call it.
You mean like a grease trap type thing?
It's
Or for water?
it's for water.
Not
It's,
for like what goes down your drains.
Correct.
It's for water.
yeah, it is for water. It is completely under. I remember when it was getting built back in 2008. There was the yellow pyramids that
Oh,
were
okay.
all underground. They
Okay.
dug it and all that stuff.
underground
I'm not sure what it was. What's
Yeah.
called?
Similar to what the high school just did.
Yes.
Correct.
Their parking lot, those
Correct.
structures underground for, storage.
So I'm not 100% sure if that can even
Yeah.
be built on.
It's something we can, we can have the conversation. If that's something you'd have any interest in. I'm just trying to think of how to get you space.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Do you need something from us? That motion, just permission? Yeah.
Like that, yes.
I would make a motion for you to continue with the process of determining whether or not this is feasible.
And I know, just to kind of build off of that real quick, Brian, before we ask for a second, I think the highlight of that, and Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong, but the water retention, if we can focus on that, because I think that's kind of our stepping stone to the next step, so just kind of clarify.
Is it called like a preliminary engineering report, or what's it called, you know?
Well,
Water
that-
study?
That's kind of the issue, is I don't know what it's gonna actually entail.
Okay.
And I would rather not get a full-blown PER and Alta and.
Right.
I'd rather take it, let's figure out if the drainage is, but it's gonna take some money. I mean,
Yeah.
Banning's given me some time, which I didn't really even ask him to do, but that will stop, and then they'll say, okay, we need a contract, and I can't keep going if I don't have authority to say such a thing,
So you think his motion is sufficient then?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
won't approve anything, but I will get a proposal for you to consider next month, but I don't wanna go rogue and just do that if there's no interest in moving forward.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we do have one motion on the table to kind of do our due diligence. So we have a first, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion passes. Let some of the fun begin.
Commissioner Williams seconded?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, new business, April 1st report.
You have in your packet 3 really fun-looking financial reports, which are for 2022 year end. Statutorily, every April 1st, there is a report due to the governing body, which in our case is the town council, and it is just a financial report. So I wanted it to be provided to you prior to it being provided to the town council. I then use a lot of this information to put together the April 15th report, which again statutorily is required. That one is actually, thanks Matt, the April 15th is submitted in Gateway, and has a little more detail than just numbers, but this is part of the report that I will use for that. So I just wanted you guys to have a copy of this. This is what we're considering the April 1st report prior to it going to the town council. It's really just expenses, revenues, and fund balances for year end. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about that.
Questions, comments from the committee?
Do you need a motion?
If you want to make a motion to accept the April 1st report, that would not probably be the worst thing.
I will make a motion, we accept the April 1st report.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. April 1st report passes.
Ew.
Item number 7, legal managerial update.
2 things. Half of the commission, we received a note from Clerk Treasurer Walmsley requesting that we do the internal controls training. If you have not yet done that, please do so. There is a actual certificate on the website, so I'm assuming maybe you've done that for the council already.
Yeah, do I need to do it again? I was gonna ask you that, if I need to go ahead and do it again.
I would think not, they have it.
You want me
I would
to?
think council trumps commission, but, I will
can do-
check with her to make sure that she doesn't need it again.
Okay.
So, just if you have not done that, make sure that I have your, certification, please.
Okay.
And, the other thing I will say, I have, been following House Bill 1085, which, I attended the RAI meeting, which discussed it pretty heavily. Attorney Sturwald and I have talked about it several times. I've talked with several IEDA members, Indiana Economic Development Association members, and other economic developers. It did officially die in the House. It will be interesting to see if some of the language shows up in the Senate. but it's something that we are monitoring. So we shall see what happens with that, but that's the big TIF bill. So again, it died in the House, so we'll see what happens. So I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have
Questions?
about anything else.
None. Moving on to review the claims.
I would make a motion that we accept the claims in the amount of $29,053.82.
I have a first motion to accept the claims. Do I have a second?
Second it.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Pass the claims. Item 9, for the good of the order. Commissioner Williams?
I have nothing tonight.
Commissioner Pippen?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Cole?
There isn't anything actually happening yet that we know of with the Brownfield Development Grant, but we are set to meet with Mitch again to kind of talk about it and see where we're at. So maybe at the next meeting we'll have something to talk about, but at the moment, nothing. So
I still suspect it'll be midsummer before we hear anything.
yeah.
I myself don't have anything. So we will go to item 10. Next meeting date, proposed for April 6, 2023. Is that still working everybody's schedule so
I
far?
cannot be here that day.
Do we want to do what?
I said opening day.
Vacation.
Oh yes, that's no, I thought spring break was the week before that.
I'm taking my mom to Biloxi.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna take my kids places. Come on.
Since we do have members also,
Will Dana be here?
do we
I
want
believe so. He did not tell me otherwise.
As long as 4 of us can be here, or
Yeah.
well, really even 3.
we can do a tentative date of April the 6th, and then we'll look at everybody's schedules, make sure, and if anything is needed to be changed, we'll be sure to get that out to the public ASAP.
I'll follow up with Dana in the
Okay.
next couple days and make sure that he doesn't have any known conflicts.
Okay.
Still 6 p.m.
Till 6 p.m.
Okay.
All right. And then after that, we will look for the motion we've been looking for tonight. So I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. You got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned.
Of course, now I need to look at